Representative Newberry's bill 5156. Which increases the state share of table game revenue from Twin Rivers to 2%. A fiscal impact of $1.2 million per year. Representative Newberry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Leader Newberry?
Is this microphone on? Okay. Mr. Chairman, is anybody signed up to testify on this bill?
No, there isn't.
Okay. Members of the committee, if you recall last year, one of the major things we did as a legislature was to pass legislation enabling Twin River to institute table gaming. And there were at least 2 hearings before this committee that I recall being at, and there was quite a bit of evidence presented as to the effect of games in Massachusetts and what the impact would be on the state. At the end of the day, the legislation we passed allocated to the state 18% of the table gaming revenues that would come from the expansion of Twin River. At the hearing last May 29, 2012, I have the information here, we were presented by the House fiscal staff, not by anybody from Twin River itself, but by the House fiscal staff, the breakdown that was given to them, and I questioned them about this. This breakdown was given to them by Twin River as to where the revenue that would come from the increase would go. They indicated that of any anticipated revenue, 35% would go to labor costs, 15% to marketing, 10% to facility operations, 10% to table operations, 18% to the state under the proposal, leaving a 12% profit for Twin River. And the question I had at the time, but unfortunately nobody from Twin River was here to answer it, is where did that 18%, 12% split come from? Now, one of the things that bothers me about Twin River's status in the state is they are a private entity. Unfortunately, there's historical reasons for this. They are de facto, not legally, but de facto controlled by the state. They only exist because we allow them to operate with the table games and the VLTs. I wish that were not the situation, but it is the situation we face as a state, and we rely on them heavily as a large source of our tax revenue. So what that means is we as a state have the ability to essentially dictate their profit. Now, as everyone knows, that's not something I generally want to see us do with private businesses, but that is the situation. So my question that I had last year was, why are we only taking 18% in a state that is desperate for revenue, as we all know, and giving 12% back to Twin River? Why not, for example, as my bill proposes, do we take 20% and give Twin River 10% or 22%? I mean, the numbers are flexible. If you may recall, I put this in as a floor amendment during the debate last year on the floor when we passed the budget. I asked the question where the 18% figure came from. I can never get an answer. Now, I did check with the fiscal staff this year, and Sharon sent me an email indicating that for each percentage that we bump up the take that we get about I believe about $600,000. So under my bill, the state would get an additional $1.2 million under projected revenues. For each percentage we bumped it up, be another $600,000. Now, there's a lot of things we could use that money for. Among other things, if we had done it last year, we would not have had to enact the tax on taxi cabs or the tax on pet services, some of the other nickel and dime taxes that were very controversial. I would be really interested to know why 18% is the ideal figure. As I said last year, nobody from Twin River was here to answer that question. And I believe there are some representatives from Twin River in the back of the room. I'd invite them to come up and explain that if they want to. If they don't want to, I guess they're not interested in explaining it. But one would think that if we were looking to take money out of their coffers and give it to the state, they might explain why that's not a good idea. Apparently, they don't feel it's important enough to come testify, but they will sit in the back of the room and observe. So, Mr. Chairman, I don't understand why we don't pass this bill unless somebody can explain to the people of this state why 18% is the perfect figure, when the numbers given to us by Twin River itself show that the state ought to be getting more. Thank you.